you? Okay, good. All right, thank you. So let's talk about if Xi Jinping is under house arrest or not. Well, I've been saying for months now, if not longer, that Xi Jinping has lost power. And based on the latest developments, I believe he is no longer free to leave Zhongnanhai without permission. In other words, he's effectively under house arrest. I understand these are bold claims compared with what mainstream media outlets are saying. Just 2 days ago, before Trump and Xi held a phone call, most major Western media outlets predicted that Xi would take a tough hardline stance. That analysis stands in stark contrast to what independent observers like myself have been saying, that Xi is no longer in control, but merely a puppet. I believe world leaders, including Putin and Trump, are trying to figure out what's really going on inside Zhongnanhai as well. Interpreting CCP politics isn't easy. It's the most secretive and deceptive regime on earth. Still, if we pay close attention, there are plenty of clues that can help us. So after vanishing from public for about 2 weeks, she reappeared on June 4th, but not in a formal setting. Instead, he received Belarusian President Lukashenko at his residence inside Zhongnanhai. I talked about this on Thursday. The location, the limited officials in attendance, and the family gathering nature of the meeting were all highly suspicious or irregular. Far from crushing the rumors, the meeting reinforced growing suspicion that Xi Jinping has been stripped of power. And the lunch meeting with Lukashenko gave rise to the speculation that Xi Jinping has moved out of his office or official office and into a private courtyard in Fengzheyuan, which is a compound within Zhongnanhai. And this is where he now lives, works, and even receives foreign leaders and meet people. And therefore, his ability to leave home is perceived as being limited. So at first, I was skeptical. I wasn't ready to accept this claim without more proof. But then state media, CCTV, gave us exactly that. They aired footage of another event featuring Xi Jinping. And instead of contradicting the rumors, it further validated the idea that Xi Jinping's movements are now restricted. So before I tell you what the other event is that made me believe Xi Jinping is restricted from leaving his home, let's take a step back and walk through the key events chronologically that brought us to this conclusion, which is that Xi Jinping has lost power. Okay, so this gives the CCP politics a review, a good review for the past 12 months. So his loss of power began in the military, and it didn't just start recently. It can be traced back to the Lunar New Year 2024, when a Taiwanese media outlet reported that the man Xi Jinping entrusted with PLA personnel and political vetting was a silent, giant, corrupt general. At the time, the rumor was explosive because the man in question was one of Xi Jinping's most trusted military leaders, Miao Hua. Actually, I have pictures. Chris has spent a lot of time today pulling, because people have suggested that I show names and pictures during the presentation, and that's exactly what Chris helped me today. So yes, here's a picture of Miao Hua. Now, the expose was a clear sign that Xi Jinping's rivals were going on the offensive. But this didn't happen overnight. The fact that Miao Hua was, was being scrutinized, it didn't happen overnight. Two major events in 2023 set the stage. The first was the purge of the PLA rocket force and the downfall of two defense ministers, Li Shangfu and Wei Fenghe. Over a dozen PLA generals were taken down, signaling a sweeping purge. The second event was the sudden death of former Premier Li Keqiang. Here we go. When did he die? I think he died in October 2023. Yes. Although Li had no political aspirations, I shouldn't say no political aspiration. I should say Li had no political ambitions that challenged Xi Jinping. Many within the CCP viewed him as a better alternative to Xi Jinping, and that put him in danger. Li's death escalated the internal power struggles, turning it into a bloody, high-stakes game of survival. And Xi Jinping's opponents felt they had to act, or they would end up just like the premier. At that moment, the man with the biggest existential crisis was Zhang Youxia, Xi Jinping's close ally and the vice chairman of Central Military Commission. There we go. Now, Zhang had played a critical role in helping Xi secure a third term at the 20th Party Congress, but his growing influence began to make Xi uneasy. Zhang is a fellow princeling from a powerful military family. He may also have been implicated by the two fallen defense ministers. What began as an alliance soon turned into a bitter power struggle between the two. There were reports that Zhang was the next one to be purged, and he was seen in CCTV reports sitting in the corner of the room at Politburo meetings. People were saying Zhang Youxia looked extremely miserable. So to survive, he must fight back. Now, he appeared to gain the upper hand in April 2024. That's a year ago, when Xi Jinping's top military enforcer, Zhong Shaojun, was suddenly reassigned to head a military academy. And we have a picture of Zhong Shaojun. Now, Zhong had held that position as first as the deputy director and then as the director of the general office of the CMC, Central Military Commission. So he had been in that post for over a decade. His removal was quickly followed by the restructuring of the Strategic Support Force, which was a military branch that Xi had created during his military reforms, making the move an unmistakable embarrassment for him. Then Xi fought back. In June, he called for political rectification and demanded absolute loyalty from the military during a high-profile conference in Yan'an. It was his desperate attempt to reassert control. Then, 1 week before the third plenum, he fast-tracked the promotion of General He Hongjun, one of his loyalists, in a solo ceremony. Here's He Hongjun. I'm just trying to make the name match with the face. So he promoted He Hongjun in a solo ceremony, which was perceived as an insurance move in case Miao Hua didn't survive the political purge. But by mid-July, things spun out of control. It's not Xi Jinping versus Zhang Youxia. It was Xi Jinping versus his own health. So on July 15th, the opening day of the third plenum, state media published a 10,000-word editorial praising Xi Jinping as a great reformer. Hours later, it was completely scrubbed from the internet, as if it never existed. At the same time, rumors erupted that Xi Jinping had suffered a stroke on the first day of the plenum. Now, after 12 years of total control, without a deputy or a successor, Xi Jinping's power structure proved dangerously fragile. One health emergency could mean total collapse, and that seemed what happened. We may never know exactly what happened behind the scenes at the third plenum, but a health incident seems certain. Leaks from Beijing claim that Zhang Youxia seized the moment and invited party elders to attend the meeting and finish the meetings without Xi Jinping. During this time, state media blacked out coverage of the third plenum. On the final day, CCTV aired a short segment, but I analyzed the footage and found that they used old stock clips of Xi Jinping to fill in the gaps. It wasn't him at the event. The real Xi Jinping was still missing. After the plenum on July 19th, Yuan Fuzhong, the leader of the Vietnamese Communist Party, or the former leader of the Communist Party, passed away. To counter rumors of ill health, Xi Jinping appeared to visit the Vietnamese embassy in Beijing to pay his respects. Many said that it was a body double. I examined the handwriting left in the condolence book. Do I have that? Oh, here we go. Yeah. And it didn't quite match Xi Jinping's handwriting. Okay. Now, aside from that appearance, Xi Jinping vanished from public view between July 15th and August 19th, when Vietnam's new party leader Tahanan visited Beijing. Xi Jinping re-emerged to welcome him in an official ceremony. Interestingly, World Journal, one of the leading Chinese newspapers based in the US, reported that this was Xi Jinping's first public appearance since the third plenum, indirectly confirming that Xi Jinping never actually visited the Vietnamese embassy a month earlier. CCTV footage of Xi Jinping during Tahanan's visit only showed frontal and wide shots, while Vietnamese media released a side photo which revealed something stunning. Do I have that? Here we go. It showed a shaved patch of hair on Xi Jinping's head, suggesting he might have undergone a head surgery. So it was Xi Jinping's health crisis that changed everything. He lost power while he was out. The next major turning point came during the National Day banquet at the end of September, when Xi Jinping invited Wen Jiabao and Li Ruihuan, two of the most outspoken retired CCP leaders, to sit beside him. Yeah, the pictures are a little small, you can see. But that was the picture. And he also placed several other party elders at the head table. So to Western observers, it looked like a gesture of goodwill, an effort by Xi Jinping to show respect to the party elders. But we knew better. This was not Xi Jinping acting out of generosity. It was a sign that he had lost power. There's no way Xi would willingly seat Wen Jiabao and Li Ruihuan next to him if he were still the undisputed leader. It was clearly that something had changed. Now, from that moment, developments accelerated. Rumors soon emerged that one of Xi Jinping's top military allies, Miao Hua, had been taken down. Then on November 28th, authorities officially announced that Miao was under investigation, which was a political bombshell. It sparked intense debate among Chinese watchers like myself. Was this purge carried out by Xi Jinping himself, or was it orchestrated by his opponent, which was most likely Zhang Youxia? At the time, the answer wasn't obvious. The next major clue we observed was the disappearance of Wang Chuning, commander of China's People's Armed Police, or PAP. Wang Chuning, where are you? There he is. Who was noticeably absent from key meetings since December 2024. If Xi Jinping had been planning a comeback, the PAP, People's Armed Police, would have been his most likely tool to use. In that context, Wang's disappearance marks something that's how to say, it made a lot of sense if you look back. Now, the PAP, the Armed Police Force, with around 1.5 million personnel, was once under the control of China's public security system. After becoming the top leader, Xi Jinping brought the entire force under the direct command of the CMC and replaced much of its leadership with trusted loyalists. He also restructured and reshuffled the PAP's organization. Previously, the PAP had 14 internal mobile divisions spread across China. Xi Jinping, however, consolidated them into just 2 national-level mobile corps, and their deployment clearly reflected Xi Jinping's political priorities. The first mobile corps is based in Zhending County, Hebei. Now, this place is no small place. It's where Xi Jinping began his political career as a party secretary in the 1980s. And the second mobile corps is based in Fuzhou. It's also a significant place. It's where Xi Jinping spent over 13 years during his 18-year tenure in Fujian. So now you see, how important the PAP is to Xi Jinping. So if Xi Jinping attempted a desperate power grab after he is being sidelined, the PAP would have been the most readily deployable force. And both the PAP's commander and its political commissar, Wang Chunying was the commander, and Zhang Hongbin was the political commissar. They were handpicked by Xi Jinping. Both men have now been reportedly detained. They have not been seen in public. So you see, the reason is not just corruption. There might have been serious attempts by Xi Jinping to mobilize PAP units to eliminate his political enemies. And that effort seems to have failed. And now they themselves have been taken down. So that was then. And then in February 2025, news surfaced that Xi Jinping had already lost power to 3 82-year-old party elders, Hu Jintao, Wen Jiabao, and Hu Deping. Do I have pictures of them? There we go.